Right. So when you're designing a product, there are a number of stages that you have to go through to take it from an idea right the way through to manufacture. And we've developed a series of steps to be able to make sure that you can do that as quickly as possible and reliably as possible to make sure that you're um, really trying to identify your risks and challenges as you go through the design process to make sure that nothing unexpected occurs, to stop the project ultimately. But to give you an overview of the phases that we go through at ITERATE, which is our product design consultancy, there's kind of 6 or 7 phases. So typically we'll start with a phase of work called foresight, and that is ultimately research based. So understanding things like your target customer, what intellectual property do we want to apply for, what technical challenges are involved in designing this product, if it can even be created in the first place, what's the budget requirement for that. We considered all of those research factors, understanding all of those things, and particularly understanding the customer in a high level of detail, the end customer in a high level of detail up front is really important. So, and those questions are more relevant to some projects than others, again, depending on the product that we're designing. Then once we've carried out the research, we'll move into what we call concept, and that is taking the design or product idea and sketching that out and visualizing what that could look like, because you may have an idea for a single product, but that could be enhanced further, or it can be interpreted in a number of different ways that will satisfy the user requirements at different levels. So normally when we're creating design concepts, we'll typically produce maybe up to about 8-10 different designs that we will then present back to our customer, and they will then pick the preferred design from that point. And once we've had that customer feedback from our direct customer, but actually that they should be in turn getting feedback from the end consumer as well, because if we can feed in that customer feedback, then it's only going to result in creating a better product. So once we've got a fairly clear idea of the design direction and concept, then we'll take that into development, where we're creating a refined version of what that product is going to look like, how it's going to work, and still that's actually often in digital sketch format at that point. Before then, we move into a phase of work that we call detail, and that is really putting that into the 3D CAD environment, and thinking through lots of the details, like how the product will fit together, what materials will it be made from, where are the electronics fitting into it, how's the user going to interact with it. It's that interpretation of the sketch design and translating that into a 3D CAD environment. What often we find then is that we have we'll carry out some prototyping work kind of concurrent to that. So we may be making some foam models, 3D printing some parts, checking that visually it looks as we think it should. Does it fit in the hand as we want it to? Does it assemble as we intend it to? And all of these questions we're asking ourselves. And there's normally a number of iterations around that. And so we can design and produce prototypes that then can be tested. If we need to do physical drop testing, for example, then we're able to do that kind of testing. But also we can produce prototypes that are suitable for market testing. We can create 3D printed products that look like the finished thing. We may only make 1, 2, 3 of them, and that they could go out into the field, and we can speak to users, get their feedback. How can we improve upon it before then kind of preparing that product for manufacture? Because that is often the next phase. If there is certification and testing work that needs to happen. That needs to go on before preparing for manufacture. So for example, if you've got a safety critical product, it may need to go to a test house to be tested, because there are different levels of regulations for lots of products depending on what it is. And so, as I say, that needs to happen before your product is prepared for manufacture, because you don't want to start producing your product and then realise that it doesn't comply with any of the standards that it needs to. So your certification needs to happen, and then engage with manufacturers as well to be able to set up production. And that can be quite extensive sometimes. It may involve creating jigs, fixtures, injection mold tools, that kind of thing, to be able then to start to make 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 of your initial batch of products. And then obviously then once they've been created, that all would then get boxed up and be sent out to the retail or the shop or sold online, whatever that might be.
Okay, awesome, thanks.